Choosing the engine is one of the most important decisions that you can make for your build. In this video, I'm going to be covering the science of selecting the right engine for your motorized bicycle or your board track racing tribute. So stay tuned. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Keith and I run a business called Seymour Cycle Works where I help and teach other people to build these tributes and replicas. One of the most frequent questions I get is, where do you get the parts? I have received this question so many times, the comments on YouTube and social media, that I decided to put together a free part sourcing guide. It's a live document so that I keep updating it when there's new suppliers or new things out there. You can have it for free if you go over to SeymourCycleWorks.com/parts, or you can click the link in the description and you can check it out for free of charge for you. So go ahead and take a look at it. Now, the first engine that we're going to cover is the typical Chinese two-stroke, either a 66cc or 80cc, depending on how you measure the internals. But basically, this is a motorized bicycle engine that they created specifically to mount on bicycles. So you can take a 26-inch cruiser frame, mount it to the frame, and they're very common. You can get them on Amazon even. You can get them on eBay, and they're a dime a dozen. Now, there are people that modify them. This is actually a modified one. As you can see, it's not even put together. I was assembling it. But I want to just give you a reference for the size and the application that you would typically use one of these for. So this is, again, a two-stroke, so it would take 2-cycle oil, so you have to mix the gas. But these are typically small engine packages. I think they're around 3 horsepower max, like 2.5, 3 horsepower, and single speed. And they're usually jump started, meaning like you release the clutch and you pedal the bike and pump start it or jump start it with the chain and the rear wheel moving. So that's kind of a cool feature that you can use, but I'll just give you the measurements here, just so you can kind of see how they fit. Again, this is a pretty common motor for motorized bicycles. So it's about 10 inches tall and about 9 inches deep, 8.5 inches deep or so on the mounting. So you have the mounting in the back there, which is made directly for a bicycle frame. Now, if you're using a drop loop frame like one of these here, then this engine is gonna feel really tiny because you have a huge space in between and you'd have to come out with a mounting system, because if you mounted it to the front down tube there, it's gonna be to like right here. So you're gonna have to come up with a mounting system, which I've covered in different videos before. But this is perfect for a Worksman industrial newsboy. So this is a frame that I typically use for my two-stroke builds. It is a bicycle. It's one of the most iconic American-made, still in business today, just built like a tank. So these are lugged frames. They're super stout, very thick walled tubing. And this is an older version, so not all of them have this notch in the down tube here. It's not bent or anything. This is actually just I think probably a 60s or 70s. And anyways, they're very good for motorizing. If you have, all you have to do is really get a smaller front chainring, and the two strokes fit perfectly. I want to cover another option for around the same size package. So this is a Lithin 152F. So this is a very overlooked engine that you could use on a cruiser style bike. If you have just a 26-inch cruiser, men's cruiser. This one is about the same size, as you can tell, as the two-stroke, but it's a 100cc, or it's actually like a 99cc four-stroke. And of course, this one's been modified a little bit. Like, it's stripped down, it had the shrouds and stuff. But these, if I remember correctly, came on like Doodlebug mini bikes. So you can get them pretty used very easily. And then I just, I made an intake manifold for it. This is just an aftermarket carburetor. Dressed it up with a vintage spark plug cover, or wire, and then this exhaust manifold. And then when I ran this on a bike, it actually was I just used like a flex pipe as the exhaust, just so I can route it wherever I want. Centrifugal clutch, and it's pretty peppy for a very lightweight cruiser bike. But as you can tell, it's about the same size as the two strokes. It's, again, you'd have to use a smaller chainring in the front to make it fit. You have to just get a horizontal mount. It doesn't just bolt right to the frame like the 2-strokes, but you get a 4-stroke. You don't have to mix gas. Sounds a lot better, and looks, I think, kind of cool too. The next one, if you're ready to graduate up to a bigger 4-stroke, so this is actually a stripped down Predator 212. It's the clone of the Honda GX200, and the Predator 212, as you've seen from other videos of mine, I like to mount it vertically, so it actually looks like a single cylinder motorcycle when it's all said and done. So this one, if you guys have seen previous videos, this is the one I just keep for mock-ups. I actually, it's no longer in functional use. I just use it for size comparison. But I've grinded some of the mounts down, which I've showed in another video on how to make a Predator 212 look old. But you kind of get the feel of the size comparison, and you're going to have obviously a lot more power. There's so much more aftermarket support as well with the GX200, the Predator 212s, and yeah, sky's the limit on how you can even modify them to even get some pretty crazy horsepower numbers. Again, like there's stuff that you can, parts that you can get right off the, online, eBay, Amazon even. Lots of different go-kart parts fit right on there. So then this one is actually a motor called the Honda GC160. It's almost identical to the GC190, which is just a little bit bigger displacement. I think there might be some maybe minor other details. And I bring this up, and some of you guys that know this engine, you're like, well, they don't even make it anymore. They don't sell it anymore. It has been discontinued, as far as I know, unless they're bringing it back. And I haven't seen that yet. But these are extremely available on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and I'll tell you what to search for. So you can actually search for, GC160 or Honda pressure washer. So these actually came on Honda pressure washers. And what happens, at least where I live in Virginia, people have pressure washers that they use for home use, residential use. So this one, I think I picked this one up for like $50. It's not pretty, but I always patina the motors anyways. But it started right up. I had the guy, start it up when I bought it. And that'll go on a future project. What I like about the GC160 or the GC190 is that it has a vertical cylinder. So you don't have to tilt it like you do the GX200s or the Predator 212s. You can just literally mount it directly flat, and you can make a dress-up kit. The downside for the GC160 and the 190s is that there's not a lot of aftermarket support, meaning like you can't just go to a go-kart performance website and buy parts for it to make it go faster. There's not like a bolt-on, go fast parts like you can do with the GX200 or the Predator 212. However, if you're pretty handy and you can make some things, they're pretty cool things. This is actually, if you can believe it, this is the same engine that's on my personal bike, what I call Peggy Sue. So this is actually a GC160, and it has a go-kart Comet CVT clutch, and so it has a variable transmission. And then these are aftermarket, these were obviously added on, so they're made to look like fins and external push rods and velocity stack for the carburetor. This is the stock carburetor that's just hooked up to a go-kart linkage, and it works great for what I use it for. But you can see the potential on what you can actually turn the GC160 into. So just a homemade exhaust manifold, and as you can tell, it mounts vertically, and I think it looks pretty sharp for what it is. Again, to do this though, you're gonna have to graduate up to a drop loop frame, which is right here, and it would not, I would say, fit into without modification a standard cruiser frame. That'd be very hard. Now, I have seen people put the Predator 212s in the bicycle frames, but you got to really finagle. You might even lose the ability to pedal. So with the with the drop loop frames, they have the wide crank. The wide crank set that you can get. There you have it. There is 4 different engine options for you. The science behind it is choosing your right purpose and your right budget. So these can be available for, you can buy a whole kit for maybe a couple $100, probably even cheaper if you get a good deal. You can buy some of the nicer ones for a few hundred, but it includes some performance parts. This one, I would say you can get a Doodlebug used motor, because a lot of people that buy these Doodlebug mini bikes with the Liffin 152F, which you can kind of see, I think you can see the stamp on here. So the 152F is, well, it's having a hard time focus, but anyways, 152F is the Doodlebug motor, and a lot of people, as soon as they buy these mini bikes, they upgrade them to a Predator 212 or a bigger motor, and then they just get rid of these. So you might even, if you know someone's into mini bikes, they probably have a few of these sitting on their shelves that they'll probably just give to you for a few bucks, or buy them from them. The Predator 212s, you can get at Harbor Freight for $150 with a coupon. You can usually score a little bit of a discount. But there you have a Predator 212. Of course, right out of the box, it's not going to be, looking like this already. You'd have to strip it down and stuff and get some different setups for, if you're mounting it vertically, of course, you're going to have to turn the intake manifold and the exhaust manifold to the proper way. I ground off some gas tank mounts, and because usually it sits right here, the gas tank sits on top, and there's a whole bunch of different other things that I just stripped off of it and got this look. And then of course the GC160 or the GC190, I told you you can pick up used for fairly cheap, that barely used, because a lot of times, again, these pressure washer engines, the pump freezes on the pressure washer, and then they still have the engine, but they just kind of toss away the rest of the parts, and they keep the engine. So there you have it, 4 different engine options based on your budget and your purpose of your build, and of course the frame. Again, if you have any questions on how to source these parts and many other parts, you can download my free part sourcing guide at SeymourCycleWorks.com/parts. See you in the next vid.